Welcome back, everybody. This is Steve with Upstart Epoxy. In today's episode, we're going to show you how we constructed this super cool fireplace mantle. Stay tuned to the end so you see exactly how it comes out. So we started off with a nice chunk of poplar wood. We went ahead and got everything squared up, got it all cut out so that it would fit in our form just right. We started off by making the form and constructing it out of a piece of plywood. We got some Tyvek tape from our local hardware store here in New Mexico, and we got everything taped up. It's important to use Tyvek tape because epoxy won't stick to it when it's time to pop it out of the mold. We went ahead and got all that taped up, all the joints, all the angles, all the corners, all the sides, and it was time to go ahead and apply a bunch of silicone. I can't express to you how important it is to always silicone every seam, every edge of your form. We really need to make sure that everything is tight and siliconed up because a leak at this level could be really bad. We're going to be pouring a lot of epoxy and we don't want to lose any of it. We got everything all poured up and we went ahead and went with 3 different colors for this. The client's fireplace hearth had gray in it as well as brownish and some creamish color. So we got our colors all ready, all mixed up. We looked over the board one more time, make sure there was no debris in there, nothing like that. And we were gonna pour all 3 of these colors at one time this time. We really wanted to get this epoxy flowing and moving around. That way all these colors would totally tie in with what the client had already existing in that space. It's also always really super important to make sure that your surface is level and that your form is level. You don't want the colors blending too much into each other. And if it's off level, one may tend to take over the other color. And sometimes that looks okay, but for this purpose, we didn't really want to do that too much. So we went ahead and we poured another batch of color because we wanted to raise the level of the color just to make sure that everything was even keel. And we were going to be doing a really super depth pour on this. So we wanted to emphasize the color as well as the depth on this. We went ahead and swirled and stirred the epoxy up just to get it going, get it activated, get it moving and flowing. That's always important, especially for your end product look. Then we mixed up a batch of clear because we were gonna start that depth effect look. So we got it all mixed up and we poured it in. Now the customer wanted us to perform some swirls in the clear epoxy. That way you could really catch that 3D look and feel. So we got the clear epoxy all poured in. And it was time to go ahead and get some white pigment, mix it up, and we started to swirl into the epoxy once it was a little bit cured. Not fully, but just a little bit. And look how cool that looks. The swirls just came out magnificent. It's really a cool look. Then we gave it another clear coat layer just to seal everything in and make sure that this design was gonna really pop. It's really amazing the quality that Upstart Epoxy provides in terms of clear pours like this. I mean, it's like looking through glass. It's so perfect, especially for these depth pours. Then we took it outside and we hit it with the hand planer this time. We didn't want to mess up any edges, so we were really careful how we flattened this out. We hit it with the belt sander just to take off any little high points that may have gone under our notice. So we cut off the edges to reveal the wood and take off any excess epoxy that leaked through in the form. Then we got the floating form that the customer provided for us, and we cut off some of the bars on here so that they didn't protrude through the epoxy. That would look terrible. So we pulled out our grinder with a metal grinding disc and we went ahead and we got these all cut off. Took us a little while, but we wanted to make sure that these were perfect and that these were going to butt up against the existing wood and not go past the point of wood and epoxy where they meet. Then we lined it up and it turned out perfectly. The bars were not going to protrude, they were not going to spill over into the epoxy, so we were good to go. Then we measured and we drilled in our pilot holes for where the bars were going to be inserted into the wood. We had to drill in with a 1-inch bit, and that's pretty rough when you're working with this type of wood. But we got it all done. We got everything sanded. We went ahead and used some Star Bond adhesive to fill in these little dimples and these little lines that just didn't get full when we poured the epoxy. So that's really a good product to use to fill in any temporary gaps. Then we got it routed. We went ahead and we sanded this piece up to 500 grit because we really wanted this piece to pop when we poured in the Upstart Epoxy's tabletop. We went ahead and sanded it all the way up, and then we went ahead and we water popped it. What that does is it brings the grains to the surface, and it really makes the wood grain come alive, if you will. Then we took it inside and we got nothing but the best, Upstart Epoxy's tabletop resin. We taped the sides of this because we did not want to have to deal with the drips on the underside of this after it was done. It was a big bulky piece as it was, and using clear packing tape always works best for getting rid of those drips after a flood coat. So we got it all poured up, got everything mixed up. We were really excited for that reveal. We went ahead and did 64 ounces of Upstart Epoxy's tabletop epoxy. I like to mix it by hand. That really minimizes the bubbles even more. But if you want to use a machine or if you want to use a drill to do it, feel free. You're still going to be bubble free. And here we go, folks. Look at this. Look how this really popped. This reveal was something else, and we were really proud of it. We really couldn't have done this good of a job without a quality product like Upstart Epoxy. When you see the difference between this and other epoxies, it's pretty crazy. I mean, look how gorgeous that looks. A lot of the other tabletop epoxies out there tend to display way too many bubbles, no matter how you mix it. That's just not acceptable, and that's just not to my liking at all. So if you really want to do a good, cool flood coat, get you some Upstart Epoxy's tabletop epoxy for sure. We got all the edges, made sure there was a good overflow, made sure that every square inch of that wood was being covered. Then we hit it with the heat gun just to get out any excess bubbles, move those out, and we were really taking shape here, folks. Then we went ahead and we mixed up some more resin, and we went with a color called Battleship Gray because that color totally tied into the hearth for the customer. The hearth is the area that's tiled that surrounds the fireplace. So we wanted the bottom and the underside of this to tie totally into that. That way it doesn't distract from the eye and it looks like one piece. And we were all done. Here it was in its glory. A lot of people can do this. You can do this. It's all up to you. If you have the motivation, the will to learn, and the want and desire to create something beautiful like this, contact us at Upstart Epoxy. We'd be more than happy to help you along the way. If you like this video and you want to see more, make sure and subscribe to our channel. Hit that little notification bell so you're alerted to every time that we produce a sweet video just like this. Again, this is Steve with Upstart Epoxy. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next time.